The agreement between the US and Iran is practically ready and will be signed within the next day, but Tehran is demanding a check for $12 billion first, and Donald Trump has agreed to this. It is reported that as early as Tuesday, on the sidelines of the G7 summit, Trump will hold separate meetings with the leaders of Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, and Egypt, which will allow the US and Iran to finally sign a ceasefire memorandum. And here lies the most important point. It's not for nothing that I mentioned Trump's meetings with the leaders of the Persian Gulf countries, which will take place in the future. The fact is that Iran has set conditions for reaching an agreement. This includes the unfreezing of $12 billion in Iranian assets even before the deal is signed, and another $12 billion during the signing. And now it's reported that Qatar and the United Arab Emirates have offered Iran those very $12 billion just to end the war. Moreover, as it turned out, Iran has already received the first tranche of $3 billion. At this time, the foreign minister of Saudi Arabia confirmed today that the signing ceremony for the agreement to end the war between the US and Iran will take place tomorrow, June 14th. And here the first inconsistency appears. The press service of the Israel Defense Forces reported 70 strikes on targets in southern Lebanon over the past 24 hours. Meanwhile, let me remind you, Iran calls the cessation of military actions in Lebanon a key condition for signing a peace agreement with the US. So, will the agreement be signed and what will it contain? Let's discuss this together, and most importantly, let's talk about what concessions Donald Trump has made. My name is Alexei Pichi, let's discuss this topic together. But before we start, I ask you to subscribe. Subscribe to this channel, like this episode, and leave any detailed comment under this video. Also, subscribe to my Telegram channel Pechi News, the link is in the description of this video. So, the agreement between Iran and the US will be signed on June 14th. A number of sources are talking about this, but for Trump it will be a major failure, which he will of course try to present as a big victory. But let's go through everything step by step. Today, Reuters reported that the agreement between the US and Iran will be signed on June 14th in Geneva. It is expected that the document will be signed by US Vice President J.D. Vance and the Speaker of the Iranian Parliament Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf. The details of the agreement are still not completely clear, but most sources say that the draft memorandum provides for the unblocking of Iranian assets and the lifting of sanctions on Iranian oil. In exchange for opening the Strait of Hormuz, what do you think of such a deal? Well, let me remind you that before Donald Trump's war, the Strait of Hormuz wasn't closed at all. Later, Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif of Pakistan stated that Islamabad is preparing for the finalization of a peace agreement between the US and Iran, which will likely happen within the next 24 hours. According to Sharif, the agreement will be signed electronically, after which several rounds of technical negotiations will take place. Next, I will quote the Prime Minister of Pakistan. We would like to thank the United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran for their unwavering commitment during the negotiations and express our sincere appreciation to our brothers in the region for their support. We are confident that this historic peace agreement will lay a solid foundation for lasting peace. Well, in the end, on the evening of June 13th, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Saudi Arabia, Prince Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud, confirmed that yes, indeed. The signing ceremony of the agreement to end the war between the US and Iran will take place tomorrow, June 14th, and indeed most likely in that same electronic format. And now Donald Trump himself, on his social network Truth Social, announced that the signing of the agreement between the US and Iran is scheduled for June 14th. According to him, immediately after the signing of the agreement, the Hormuz Strait will be opened. Trump stated that Iran's stockpiles of enriched uranium will be destroyed, and even suggested that this could happen on Iranian territory. According to him, the new agreement will be, quote, a wall in Iran's path to nuclear weapons. He also assured that after the agreement is signed, relations between the US and Iran, quote, will be completely different and much better than those under previous administrations. And of course, he took a jab at Barack Obama, saying right from the start that Obama's deal was bad, but his own will be absolutely great. He also stated that he hopes for cooperation with Iran and the entire Middle East for many years to come. And later, Axios reported that yes, indeed, the signing ceremony of the agreement between the US and Iran in the traditional sense will most likely not take place due to logistical difficulties. Well, most likely, the Americans decided not to send J.D. Vance to Europe so that it wouldn't turn out like in April when he flew there, and then it turned out that the Iranians refused to sign anything. Basically, it all comes down to the fact that the memorandum on ending the war and starting a 60-day truce to continue negotiations will be signed on June 14th. Well, unless something happens. And something is already happening. For example, the press service of the Israel Defense Forces reported more than 70 strikes on targets in southern Lebanon over the past 24 hours. It is reported that the targets of the strikes were Hezbollah facilities, but I should remind you here that Iran calls the cessation of military actions in Lebanon a key condition for signing a peace agreement with the US. So let's see how Tehran will react to this. They might latch onto this and say, no, we won't sign. But the most scandalous thing about this yet-to-be-signed agreement is that Iran has demanded the immediate payment of $12 billion from its frozen assets. According to information from the Fars agency, only after this payment is made will the Iranian government be ready to continue the dialogue about reaching peace. Later, the Iranian Tasnim agency stated that the US had agreed as part of the agreement with Iran to unfreeze $24 billion of Iranian assets. This was stated by the advisor to Iran's supreme leader, General Mohsen Rezai. According to him, US President Donald Trump approved the release of part of Iran's frozen funds. However, as Rezai says, Trump is not ready to announce this publicly yet. Well, supposedly Trump only pretends to be tough in public. He says that he won't pay the Iranians a single cent at all, he won't give any money, let them fulfill all our conditions, only what I say will happen. But in reality, he has already backed down and agreed to actually give the Iranians a check for a rather substantial amount. At the same time, on the evening of June 12, US Vice President J.D. Vance denied rumors about lifting sanctions from Iranian assets. According to him, the Republic of Iran will not receive any cash. No financial resources will be released, just because of signing the deal or Iranian representatives joining the negotiations. And here it turns out that Donald Trump's team came up with a brilliant move, how to actually transfer the money to Iran, because without it they wouldn't participate in the negotiations, and to make it look like the US didn't give in at all. It's reported that the United Arab Emirates agreed to unblock billions of dollars for Iran. In total, we're talking about around $10 billion, of which more than $3 billion have already been transferred to Iran. Yes, in case you missed it, Iran has already received the first tranche of $3 billion. While Donald Trump was telling everyone that he would never do what Barack Obama did and send pallets of cash to Iran. At the same time, two other Reuters sources estimate the total amount of funds at up to $20 billion. I note that the agreement was reached in exchange for stopping Iranian attacks on the territory of the United Arab Emirates. Listen to this news once again. Previously, the countries of the Persian Gulf were confident that they were under the security umbrella of the United States of America. If anything happened, the Americans would protect them. Then Donald Trump's war against Iran happened. Iran started bombing the United Arab Emirates. The US did not protect them. And now the Emirates are actually offering Iran ransom money so that Iran doesn't bomb them. Well, I don't know. It was really hard to even imagine this literally just 3 years ago. And so, an official from the United Arab Emirates, commenting on the situation, stated that the country is striving to reduce tensions and supports efforts to stabilize the region. Here is his quote. The UAE's foreign policy is aimed at promoting de-escalation and reducing tensions throughout the region, as well as advancing lasting peace and stability. Such an agreement could become part of a broader settlement process between the US and Iran, and could also include an end to attacks using missiles and drones, as well as the restoration of certain elements of bilateral cooperation between Iran and the Emirates. It is also stated that the Emirates agreed to pay Iran just so that it would open the Hormuz Strait for them, which, I remind you once again, was actually open before the war anyway. In addition to this, Qatar allegedly also offered Iran $12 billion to unblock the negotiations. The Iranian news agency Mehr reports that Qatar offered Iran $12 billion to overcome the deadlock in the negotiations. According to the publication, $6 billion refers to Iranian assets frozen in Kuwait, and another $6 billion Kuwait agreed to allocate to Iran as localization. As a result, Iran hasn't signed anything yet, hasn't fulfilled any of Donald Trump's pre-war demands, but Iran is already receiving the money. And Donald Trump keeps assuring everyone how brilliantly he won this war. I should note that even if an agreement is signed on June 14th, it will only be a preliminary deal, without any actual commitments from either side. And only after that will real negotiations about Iran's nuclear program begin, which was the main reason Donald Trump started the war in the first place. I'll leave it at that. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments below this episode, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like the video. If you want to support the work of this YouTube channel, you can do so with any donation using the links and details in the description of this video or by using the QR code on your screen. That's all for now. Take care. Goodbye, everyone.